Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I would like to say a huge thank you to Mark Jeffrey Aspinall for sending in some awesome pictures of his converted Mordian acid dogs. Absolutely fantastic conversions. Love what you've done with the Catachan kernel and the conversion there. If anyone's interested in the Mordian acid dogs, they are actually a genuine regiment with lots of really cool fluff. One of the first regiments actually that got a lot of that wasn't Caden, that got a big sort of fluff story written about it. So please go and check them out. Thank you for sending these pictures in, Mark. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they want me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page. There will be a link down in the description below. Now today, guys, what we're going to be looking at is something that I'd actually missed and had been pointed out to me by a couple of subscribers, and I think it's absolutely brilliant and really allows us to get the most out of the options that we've got as the guide, get maximum efficiency. And what I'm talking about is how the full payload tank ace interacts with the Manticore. Alright? Now, for those of you that don't know what full payload is essentially in the Greater Good, the Psychic Awakening book for the Imperial Guard, still a bit annoyed it got a town name, but whatever, there is a new mechanic introduced to the game called Tank Aces. And what it allows you to do is basically take a couple of specialist tanks, upgrade a couple of your tanks. Now, it's not just Lehman Russets. There's actually three categories of these tank aces. You've got main battle tank, support, and super heavy. Now, the way to take a tank ace is you can spend 1 CP to upgrade one vehicle, and in addition, you can forego a warlord trait. So you still have a warlord, but your warlord doesn't gain a warlord trait. And so instead you can take a tank ace ability, which means you're allowed to do both. So you can spend 1 CP and forgo your warlord trait and take 2 tank aces. Great. Now the ones we're going to be looking at are for Manticores. So we're going to be looking at the support aces, and specifically we're going to be looking at the trait full payload. Okay, now how it works is do not roll to determine the damage characteristic of weapons this model is equipped with. They have their maximum value. E.g., a weapon with a damage characteristic of D3 inflicts 3 damage. Now that's really good. That's really good. And you can look at this in loads of different ways. I mean, obviously, you can look at it with a Basilisk. That also does D3 damage. Very reliable, hard-hitting Basilisk. If you're not playing a competitive game, you could have a support ace Basilisk firing twice using a Vigilance Detachment, just hammering rounds into them. But obviously that's not great if you are playing a competitive game. We do like to try and, talk about things from a competitive standpoint on this channel. So instead, what I think is the best way to do is to apply full payload to a Manticore. Now, Manticores fire 2d6 shots. And if you're playing as Catachan, which is arguably the best competitive trait at the moment, just generally speaking, we're not looking at custom ones just at the moment, you will be allowed to re-roll one of the dice when you're shooting your Manticore. So it's 2d6, re-rolling one of them, which allows you to get a nice, reliable amount of damage output. Now, what's really interesting is that this rule, so you've got a Manticore, it's doing flat 3 damage for every wound that goes through. It's it's strength 10, so whatever you point it at, it's wounding on 2s or 3s. It's AP -2, more than enough. More than enough considering the amount of invulnerable save spam that we're seeing out there, and it's flat damage 3. Fantastic. Now that was already well known, not covering any new ground here. But what was pointed out to me was that this doesn't apply to just the vehicle's Storm Eagle rockets. It's any weapon. Any weapon at all. Now you're thinking, well, what does that mean? What about, well, let me point out to you what was pointed out to me, which is any Imperial Guard vehicle can take a Hunter Killer Missile. A Hunter Killer Missile is a 1-shot crack rocket. It's 5 points. It's got a nice long range, strength 8, AP -2, D6 damage. But when it's under a full payload support ace, that's a flat 6 damage. That is really good. Combine that with the fact that now in 9th edition you can move around the battlefield no problems, no mouse one to hit anymore. Really good. Now, unfortunately, you can't combine that with direct onslaught stratagem, which is also great good because that is just for your Storm Eagle rocket. But what you could do is you could go something like Cadian and use Overlapping Fields of Fire to get a +1 to hit, and then you could fire your missile at it. You could use Destroying, Firstborn Pride, and that also gives you a +1 to hit, and that means that Hunter Killer Missile is hitting on a 3+. But even if it's not, you just fire it off, and if you hit and it gets through, you're doing a flat 6 damage. That is tearing a chunk out of anything. That is 25% of the wounds off a knight. Now, you're not like to see too many knights these days, but you know, it's a lot of damage. It is a lot of damage. Now, you might be saying, oh, but is that still really worth it in today's, you know, elite infantry meta? Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, Custodes are an extremely popular tournament faction, and they're only going to get more popular. They run around with bikes which have got, you know, 4 wounds. This missile just goes straight into them, puts them onto their 4+ invuln, gets through, you flatten a bike. 5 points to potentially flatten a 40-50 point bike that the Custodes have. Worth it. Absolutely worth it. And you can take this twice because you can take 2 tank cases. So it truly is very powerful, and it's just a nice little thing. Now, what makes it really good is that this was actually taking full payload manticores was already the sort of go-to way of running running tank aces. Not many people were taking the main battle tank ones, although I personally am an advocate of slow and purposeful, or the super heavy ones. So the reason this is so good is that it was, if you're taking a competitive guard list, you're taking that Catachan list that we've talked about before, this is something that you'll be doing anyway. So it's not something you have to build your list around necessarily. You know, even if you don't have any modifiers to hit, you just hitting on 4s, it's still a really nice way of just having a flat 6 damage weapon. If you take 2 of them, you're guaranteed one. You know, statistically one of them should hit, and you know you should be doing fine. So there you go, guys. Quick tip video. Not going to go on about it anymore. Hope it's been useful, and you guys find it as, you know, as great and, to be honest, as amusing as me. This is this massively just over exploding Hunter Killer Missile. Let me know what you think. Put lots of comments down in the comment section below. If you've got any other ideas, some quick tip tactics, some little, not necessarily loopholes, but just really good ways of taking advantage of some of the cool stuff that guard has that maybe isn't that well known, maybe overlooked, please let me know and I'll do a video on it. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course I'll see you guys next time.